Like a lifetime ago when we were talking about the negotiations for phase one, it actually being signed. So what are we expecting out of these talks?
Yeah, Heidi, the big question is whether or not a re-escalation of trade tensions is imminent. I mean, this blame game we're seeing, the upcoming U.S. presidential election have certainly increased that risk. Trump, of course, has been blaming China for misleading the world about the outbreak and has previously even threatened tariffs as punishment. And so for a little bit of context here, it was at this recent town hall where Trump said that China has to buy what they promised, and if they don't, they'll just terminate the deal. Very simple. But the reality of the situation is that when this trade war first started, the U.S. economy was going strong. The impact of tariffs could be absorbed. Now it'd be much harder for Trump to justify more tariffs, to justify this politically and economically. So when it comes to this meeting, our sources say that top trade negotiators could speak as soon as next week, and that Liu He and Robert Lighthizer will be on the call. This would be the first time they've officially spoken about the agreement since it was signed in January, right before the coronavirus pandemic hit the global economy. And the deal, if you remember, called for Liu and Lighthizer to meet every 6 months. So this means that next week's call will be slightly ahead of schedule. So this does bode well that at least they are having discussions.
So, Selina, how far behind is China in its commitments?
So, Sherry, according to the agreement signed earlier this year, China agreed to buy an additional $200 billion of U.S. goods and services on top over 2 years compared to 2017's level. So that's an additional $200 billion of U.S. goods. The purchases so far have been significantly behind the pace needed to reach the target for the first year's $76.7 billion increase. So imports from the U.S. declined by almost 6% in those first 4 months of 2020 compared to a year ago, which is not surprising because of the COVID outbreak. So the pressure to catch up is mounting. We did see purchases from China slightly improve in March from a very poor performance in February, but that shortfall remains very large, and that shortfall was across all categories. Now, on the bright side, our sources say that Beijing's plan is to show the U.S. that it is sincerely working to fulfill its commitments despite delays caused by the virus. For instance, our sources say that some measures to boost enforcement of intellectual property protection needed to be approved by the annual National People's Congress, and because that was postponed from March to later this month, that entire goal had been postponed as well, but they are working to fulfill those commitments.